Hello, this is Dr. Rosie Kuhn, and this podcast series is called Aging Like a Guru. Who, me? So you'll be hearing some tap, tap, tapping in the background. It's the rain. It's the Pacific Northwest where I live, and sometimes a lot we get some rain, and so you may hear it from time to time. So that's what you're hearing in the background. I was watching a movie last night called Eat, Pray, Love, which was originally a book written by Elizabeth Gilbert. And at one point, it's sort of at the end of the movie, she's talking and she's in Bali and she's having a wonderful time. She's saying to this man, um, I am so tired of people telling me that I need a husband. And he said, you don't need a husband, you need a champion. And it was like, oh man, that is just such a cool thing to say to somebody. And what that means, I guess, is depends on who you are and your thoughts about that. For me, a champion is somebody who's got your back, who's there to support you, and who is 100% encouraging you to be you, not be you as something else, but just to be you. And I would suspect that this is true for a lot of people. Maybe it's true for you, but it was true for me that I don't I rarely do I remember having a champion. I have people who love me and people who are my friends and people who support me, but that kind of championing, I think, could be rare. But it shouldn't be rare. It should be part of our everyday life. So, as parents, do we champion our children? And what's the degree? Would your children say, yes, my parents championed me. They support me in every way possible. They just believe in me 100% and are willing to do whatever it takes to get me to where I want to go. Not necessarily has to be a financial thing, but that sense of spirited, you know, cheerleader, I'm there for you kind of experience is really amazing when it comes from parents. It's amazing when it comes from children, and especially as we're aging, we want our children to champion us in having a great life till the very end. I think that's kind of rare. And in terms of even the consensus reality, we think, that our kids want us to get into a long-term care facility sooner rather than later, or they don't want us in their house to take care of us, to champion us in thriving to the end. All kinds of orientations in that way. Like, how do our children support us and be champions for us in our aging process or in any way? My daughter loves that I paint. I feel like she's my champion in that way. And she's loving my writing, and that's really cool. And she's championing me in my podcast. So I feel that from her, and it makes a difference in my life. So our husbands, our partners, our wives, our friends, what's the degree to which we feel that sense of championing from them? I think that's a really good experience or good question. And even in terms of the community, does the community champion us as we age? Does it support its elderly? It's almost it's a word that's so common, but I'm laughing because from this point of aging like a guru, the concept of elderly, it's there, it is, and at the same time, it's like it doesn't support and empower people to see themselves as thriving all the time and to see who is championing these people. We have a center, we have a Orca Senior Center here on the island, and they are such champions for support and growth and giving people opportunities to learn new things and participate in any life experience that you're into, that you'd like to. So I really appreciate that level of championing. When we don't have that level of championing, we can feel isolated or alone, or nobody cares enough. And in that, we can feel depressed, we can feel grief, we can feel, like I said, isolated and alone, and we might start to um, go into encroaching decrepitude. We might just decide, well, what's the point? what's the point of being here? What's the point of living in this situation if nobody actually sees me or knows me or allows me the expression of me? A long time ago, I wrote this piece that was really so important, which is I am worthy of my own expression. And not everyone has that orientation. In fact, most of us are trained to not know what we feel, think, need, or want. In the recovery field, most people who have or are in an experience of addictions, they weren't allowed or are not allowed to know what they think, feel, need, or want. And if we're not allowed to know, then we're not allowed that free expression. If we're not allowed that free expression, that 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 gets inverted and gets stuck in our cells and gets stuck in our energy fields, and it makes us sick. I really believe that. It makes us sick and emotionally not available. And so the more that we can be championed by people, but also begin to champion ourselves, that's a big deal. So in the movie when Felipe says to Liz, "You don't need a husband, you need a champion," I thought that was great. And it's a matter of then not being a victim of orientation, but like, who is there in that way? But the thing that's really important too is that we become our own champions. There's a lot of, like I said just a moment ago, I for one was trained to not know what I think, feel, need, and want. And that came up just recently again for me when I was in what I call a spiritual immersion process, but I'm in a sense of looking at my life and looking at how things felt to be me when I was 26 and separated from my husband and separated from my children. And what among other things, what came up was this sense of, gosh, I hated that guy. I hated the guy that I divorced. I hated that. I hated the experience I had to go through. I hated the lack of support and respect and all the rest of it. I hated it. And I'd never allowed myself to actually express the degree to which I felt and experienced that hate in that time of my life when I was 26. And, a lot of us go to therapists so that we can actually get to connect with those emotions, those energies, those experiences that in essence we're not allowed to have. There's bumper stickers that say, "Don't hate." And I get that there's the hate or the anger that is an ego-based, in a sense that I'm right and they're wrong. And so that creates conflict and war. In this case, it's accepting that this is my feeling. This was a feeling that I had that I wasn't yet able to acknowledge. I wasn't allowed to acknowledge that as far as I was concerned, because hating anybody was a bad thing. So here I am, 67, like 20, 40 years later, and I'm allowed to have this experience. I championed myself to have the true experience of me a long time ago. And what that did is it liberated that energy. It doesn't mean I hate the guy now. It doesn't mean I hate anybody now. It just means in that moment of my life when there was crisis and trauma and drama and sadness and separation and all kinds of stuff that I hated. So I championed myself to be able to move forward in my life, to make a difference for myself, to be my champion. And when we can do that for ourselves, then we're empowering ourselves to thrive and to be healthy energetically on all levels. And that allows us to be connected, more connected to ourselves and to the people we love. And also it helps us understand and have more compassion for other people who are going through a rough time and may hate or may be angry or may be sad, may be isolated, and they need us to champion them in whatever ways we can. Well, I think that's it for today. I really appreciate you listening, and look forward to maybe connecting with you on Facebook at the Aging Like a Guru page. Please leave comments or questions, or if you'd like to get interviewed by me here on this podcast, feel free to email me at rosie@theparadigmshifts.com. You can find more out about my books and about blogs at theparadigmshifts.com. All right, big hugs to you all. Bye for now.